Hey Game Wheelers, welcome back to the interview with Christian Potenza. Unfortunately, we had some small technical issues and lost the last question from Pamela. But luckily, we caught Christian on a good day and he's here to answer the question for you again. So without further ado, here he is. So Pamela asks about Dramarama. What is it like having to voice a character that was a teen as a child? And do you have to do any funky voice things, or is there any audio edits done to it?
Yes to everything. When I found out that Jude was coming back, it was prior to when we were actually going to record. And I thought to myself, wow. Because just weeks before, I was at Taffy, which is the animation festival here in Toronto. And I was signing some autographs as Jude, because everyone likes Jude. And, you know, every time I do conventions, you know, even though the show's been over, I'm still doing it. Because people like to hear the voice. It's from their childhood, right? So I'm like, dude, you're harshing my mellow. And I just thought to myself, wow, what a gift. You know, I'm part of these people's memories that they grew up on and stuff. It'll be it's a shame I won't be able to do it again. I've always wanted a reunion. Then when I found out that Jude was coming back as a 4-year-old, I mean, first of all, I'm coming back as a character from a show that was long gone over, and he's going on another show, and he's coming back as a 4-year-old. So, I mean, between that triangle right there, I was like, wow, I think I made cartoon history. So I was pretty blown away by that. But then, after the excitement started to settle, I was like, what does that sound like? It's a different universe. It's a different show. It's a different style of animation. B, he's 4 years old. It's a completely different character. So how do we do that? And as we started recording and finger painting between the writing and the design, because right off the top, they really platformed Jude heavy in the script, just to, you know, lock it in instead of just little walk-ons. It was like the most lines for like the three or four episodes that we did, and I was like, oh my god, this is hard. So of course, because they're 4, we had to pitch up. So at first I was like, dude, you're harshing my mellow. Nope, it was too bassy. Because Jude speaks really slow. He has a slow cadence. So, actually, that's not how I did it. I was like, dude, you're harshing my mellow. And you can hear the bass in it, right? But I was pitching up. Then they said, well, you got to pick it up because he's young. Dude, you're harshing my mellow. So there's like, okay, we got this. We got it. Even though he doesn't say that, I'm just saying he has catchphrases in this new season, but I'm not saying nothing. And so we're pitching up. Now, they're putting people together, right? So they put myself and some of the female cast together when we started doing it, and it was great. I could hold my own. But then they decided to put Scott McCord, who plays Owen, and myself together. So Scott's doing it, so I cannot do Owen. Do not make me do Owen. Can't do it. So he's doing his thing and pitching up a bit, and then I'm doing my thing. And we did it once, because by about an hour and a half in, him and I started sounding the same. His Owen started sounding like my Jude, and my Jude sounded like his Owen. So they're like, separate. And we were like, we were tripping up and just like, damn. Then it got real quiet. We stopped recording. And we were like, uh-oh. When it gets quiet during production, well, something's up. And yes, there was something up, because now we've done a couple of episodes in. Hadn't aired yet, but this goes back to Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network then makes their notes, decisions. And that's when they did a very large recast. Everybody was on the chopping block. Now, they decided, are they going to pitch up and modulate the sound? Are they going to recast? Because they wanted a childlike flavor to it. So a bunch of people got recast. And some people had to come in for auditions and audition and audition again and again and again to see if they could actually do it. And it was like we were dark for a really long time, like 2 months. It just stopped. And then we found out what was happening. And then they hired children for a few parts, like actual children that sounded like children. So now the universe is different. It's really different. But now we're here. And now we've got a new cast, and they've decided to pitch up the men. I, luckily, was able to keep my part. But in order to do so, after hearing the pitch up, because after when you record a session, they give you a voice reference because you go do other work here and that, or you haven't done it in a while. Or if you start to fumble throughout the recording, they'll go, here's your reference. So they played me my reference, and I was like, oh, I could hear it. But I was like, I didn't think it was me. I thought it was somebody else. And they pitched it up, so it doesn't sound like me. So even though I'm talking, like, I'll do it in a second, but even though I'm pitched up, there's still modulation happening. So they're still pitching up. So it's like, huh, it sounds neat. Wait, I know those lines. That's me! So then I start to calibrate, and I go, okay, because sometimes when you're recording for like a long time, you start to waver. And I ended up, for the first little bit, I couldn't hit it until you understand the vibration, what the body has to do. So it kept going like that, and I was like, I keep it for a bit, but I always slip down into Jude. Ah, damn. Or just talk like this, but it was still bassy. Then Marilyn Ridley came up with this idea, because this was after all the recast. But if I couldn't hold it, you know, then they would recast, and they totally could. Even though I made damn sure that we were doing 16, that you could never voice match me, right? It's impossible to get Jude's cadence. But this one, open season. So she said, why don't you try this just to stay pitched up? She goes, raise your hands above your arms above your shoulders, like that. See? As soon as I do this, it opens up the rib cage and gives you a lot more sound. You can just get higher than when you're down, right? Right? So now, we tried it, and I was like, dude, you're harshing my mallow. And they're like, that's it. That's it. We found the key. Now I gotta have my hands in the air for 2 hours. So now, to keep Jude, this is how I do Jude, with my hands up like this. And that's the story of what we have to do. And they still modulate it. The end.